Hi, this is Ant and this is Speakerstack Music. So welcome back. It's been a while since I've done a tutorial video, but I want to try and get back into them. So I thought I'd do a really short video today showing you how I've created an Eastern Droney, Sitar-y sounding synth in Ableton 12. It's kind of part of a proggy, guitar-y instrumental song I created called Pushka, which is up on YouTube. So I'm going to give you a quick blast of the synthesizer as part of the mix, and then I'm going to solo the synthesizer, which is on instrument channel 10 here. You can see it's called Eastern Drone. I'm going to solo it so you get to kind of hear how it sounds on its own. Cool, so yeah, hopefully that gives you a sense of it. I'm really kind of going for those kind of Eastern vibes, and I really wanted that kind of sitar-y sound. I mean, to be honest, this actually happened by accident. So I was working on a different track. I don't know if you sometimes find this happens, and I was kind of playing around with it, using the instruments that I'd already created and tweaking them just to see if I could come up with something really cool and different. And I kind of did tweak this sequencer sound in a different track and came up with kind of this kind of Eastern Droney sound, which you can hear here, and then just kind of played around with these notes. And I'm just going to show you the notes, which you can see here, and just kind of hopping around the octaves, dropping in some kind of sharps just to kind of give it that kind of Eastern feel. And that's really how the sound came about, and then out of that kind of formed the song. So I kind of resaved it as a different song and then just expanded it from there. And so really the whole song was born out of this synthesizer sound, but I wasn't really kind of going for it. It just kind of happened by accident, and then you kind of work with it and kind of morphs into something kind of with a life of its own. So yeah, you can see what I've done with the notes in here, and I've given you a blast of the track and the actual sound. So I'm now going to just kind of drop into the effects window down here, and I'm just going to show you kind of how I've created the sound of the synthesizer in Ableton. So I really love to kind of create my own synths in Ableton using the analog instrument here, which you can find by going to instruments up in this window up here and then clicking on analog, not bothering it with any of the presets here. I just literally click on it and drag it in, which I've done here, and then I've kind of played around. So you got some parameters on down here. You've got some vibrato, unison and glide going on down here, and you can see the values I've kind of set those at. Frequency and resonance are kind of at around 25% on both of those. Haven't messed around with the filter setting here. I do have it drop down an octave, and in terms of the wavetable parameters, got a really high level of attack here, so it comes kind of straight in there just to give it that kind of sitar-y twang. Bit of decay and sustain, kind of a moderate amount there in the middle, quite a lot of release just to give it that kind of droney, sitar-y, reverby kind of echoey sound. So in terms of the effects, obviously we've got some EQ going on, and you can see we've got it positioned quite high in the frequency range here, around 1000 Hertz. Just going to give you a quick blast of it, and you'll hear it's quite high in the mix. Now, one of the things I did kind of play around with here is having it more across the frequency range, so something more like this. It kind of gives you a much fuller sound, and that was sounding really cool. But what I was just really conscious of was stuff in the mix that was in those kind of frequencies around here, and whether it was just kind of compete really. And one of them was the low pad. You can see that you've got this instrument here, the low pad, and it's between 100 and 1000 Hertz. So I decided in the end not to have it across here. Just felt like it was muddying it up a little bit, and if I positioned it a bit high here, it just gave it a bit more clarity. So that was the logic of that, but obviously, you know, you could play around with this depending on what else you've got going on in the mix. And I do love the sound of it down here across, you know, more of the frequencies. Just just a fuller, richer, kind of more distorted sound. So anyway, let's just put that back to where it was. We've also got some chorus going on just to give it that kind of thickened effect. We've got some distort going on, and that distort is actually in the audio effects overdrive section here, and distort dropped in. I don't think I've messed around with the parameters too much here. You'll see that I've kind of positioned it in the middle of this filter window here, but I think the drive and the tone are set at those levels when you drop it in. Got some delay with some ping pong, got feedback and dry and wet both set at 50%. I don't think I changed much else here. And then finally some reverb just set at 18% just to give it kind of space in the mix. And again, don't think I changed too much in relation to that. So that's the synth. Yeah, I hope you found that helpful and useful. Just really wanted to say thank you for listening, and if you did find it, you know, useful, and you've managed to kind of drop it into your own songs, then you know, perhaps give the video a like if it's been helpful. Consider subscribing to the channel if you're not already subscribed. And finally, just wanted to say thank you for your time and for watching the video, and hopefully see you in the next one. Thanks a lot. Cheers. Bye.